Again, thanks everybody for being here. This is a really, really important group that we are convening now of our CAT leaders because we want to provide you all with the support, the training, the information, and equip you with all the tools necessary to not only maintain but grow and build on your cats. So really appreciate everybody being here. So welcome to the second of these meetings. This one is going to be an orientation around CARA. We want to equip you with the knowledge to be able to have conversations with folks at labor councils, in the community, other parts of the organizing space, and tell them really what is CARA and how does CARA operate. And by equipping you with this information, you can then educate your cats because certainly as a leader, you probably get questions about some of these things that we're going to be going over today. So let's go ahead and mosey on to the next slide, please. All right, so what are CARA's main objectives and goals? And a lot of this is going to be me kind of reading the words out to you. We're going to try and keep this as tight as possible because, again, we've got a really packed agenda. We will have a break during this presentation, kind of in the middle. So we'll be giving you a little bit of a time for relief. And then if you have questions that come up as I'm going, or as any of us are going through this, feel free to throw them in chat and we'll try to answer them. So that way we keep our Q&A times to a minimum. We'll still take time for it, but we want to answer your questions as they come up. So with all that being said, let's talk about CARA's main objectives and goals. So CARA, and this is straight from our website, that, we're building a statewide network of hundreds of organizations to educate and inform our membership, the public, and the elected officials about issues that affect the well-being of California's older adults. We're working towards advancing and achieving just and equitable living conditions for seniors and people with disabilities within the state and the nation through legislative advocacy consistent with the educational and charitable purpose of an advocacy organization. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to go over CARA's top issues. Now, these are determined issues that came up. Now, always and forever until we achieve these victories, I'm getting an unstable internet connection. Just like wave me down if I start roboting here. But our top issues that are going to continue to remain our top issues until the victories are won are going to be guaranteed health care for all, right? Single payer. This is the top issue for CARA. Then protecting, improving, and expanding Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And we did achieve elimination of the WEP GPO. Again, this is something that's under attack right now. So certainly this is a time where we need to be an organization that is growing if we're going to stop these cuts to the safety net programs that we rely on and actually, start to repeal some of them so we can build these and protect, improve, and expand these programs. So from the convention floor, the top issues that we had here are supporting a universal long-term support services, LTSS benefit for all Californians, supporting efforts to reform California's tax structure to ensure that the wealthy and corporations pay their fair share. And again, this is in order of how popular they were. So top being most popular, bottom being less so. Protect pensions and retirement benefits, both state and nationally, including fighting legislative and electoral efforts to eliminate or reduce benefits. Advocate for funding deeply affordable housing construction, preservation, rehabilitation, and something I can't see, with services as needed and appropriate. And expand protections for renters, homeowners, and manufactured homeowners, including protections against rising utility rates. Requiring transparency of drug pricing, lower drug costs, and to negotiate for prices. Support efforts to implement campaign finance reform at the state and national levels. Improving conditions at nursing homes and to advocate for better transparency, accountability, better staffing standards, and pay for workers, infection control, etc. educate and engage seniors on climate change and other environmental issues. And finally, to continue to advocate to increase SSI, SSP based grants to reinstate full COLA. Next slide, please. So now that you know our issues and we have, the elevator pitch, right, the 30-second about what is CARA, we wanted to talk a little bit about the history of CARA, because this question I know comes up to me sometimes, and being, still newish, being here just over a year, it's really, the rich and vibrant history of CARA is something that is really helpful to know, because you might have other organizations or potential affiliates asking about our history, and it's good to have some bullet points about it. But CARA, we're a statewide nonprofit. We unite retired workers and community groups to win social and economic justice, full civil rights, a better, more secure future for ourselves, our families, and future generations. Now, the ARA, the Alliance for Retired Americans, which is our parent organization, was formed by members of the AFL-CIO and several community groups in 2001 in DC. And one of its goals was to establish an affiliate in each of the states. And I think we are the 15th to become an affiliate. We think. I meet with them after this meeting, so I will ask them so we can be for sure about that. We are the largest and I would say most productive of the state affiliates by a pretty solid margin. So be proud of that. You're, just like California leads the nation, CARA, is a big part of the Alliance for Retired Americans. CARA's founding convention was held at the Farama Hotel, which was located near LAX in 2003. We elected our first board of directors and hired my predecessor, Jody Reed, as the executive director, then adopted the Constitution and bylaws and established some goals for our organization. At this time, they held several workshops, and it was a 2-day event. Next slide, please. Now, this is a very important distinction that I think everyone should be aware of. CARA is actually the 501c4 nonprofit side. Now, we also have the CARA Educational Fund, which is the 501c3 nonprofits part of the organization. Now, they are two different entities, right? The CARA Education Fund is the educational piece of the organization, as the name indicates. They hire CARA to do work for them. And I know it may sound kind of weird because this has been talked about differently in the past, but essentially, when the C3 side of the house wants to, let's say, mobilize to pass a proposition, they hire CARA. They say, CARA, we need this proposition to pass. And to do that, we're willing to pay you $50,000. And so as CARA, we say, yes, please. And we go and execute that work, and we try to pass the proposition. And we're going to get paid for this, whether we pass it or not. Once the program is complete, then we send a bill over to the CARA Education Fund, who then says, okay, here's a check, CARA, and writes it to CARA. So there's no money free flowing between the two. They're hiring CARA, the 501c4 side of the house, to do work for them to execute. So just some boring legalese. As per Internal Revenue Code, a 501c3 is a nonprofit organization for religious, charitable, scientific, and educational purposes. Donations to the C3s are tax deductible. So that's why when you look at our financials, if you come to our board meetings, you'll see that the vast majority of income goes through the C3 because people and organizations rightfully want their tax write-offs. So the other side of it is the 501c4, which is CARA. That's a social welfare group, and donations to C4s are not tax deductible. So it'll be rare that you'll see income flowing into the C4 side of the house, which is CARA. Next slide, please. Okay, my boss is the board of directors and the executive committee. So powers and structure of this, entity. Member organization status in CARA shall be open to any organization within the state that has at least 15 members, which supports the purpose and mission of CARA and is reviewed and approved by the credentialing committee. Members of the organizations do not have to be incorporated. The board shall have authority to grant exceptions to membership minimum of 15 for good cause. Member organizations participate in elections, vote on resolutions, and participate fully in annual convention and make policy at the convention and may query the board on non-personnel and non-legal matters and are the heart of CARA network of activist seniors in California. Our officer positions on the CARA board are president, treasurer, secretary, all of which are elected at our convention, statewide convention, which happens every 2 years. Next slide, please. Continued. So there shall be no less, this is straight out of our bylaws, there shall be no less than 9, no more than 20 vice presidents, each one designated by one of 20 unions who are members of CARA and that have the largest retiree membership in California. There shall be no less than 9 and no more than 20 community vice presidents elected by plurality at the convention in the community-based organization caucus. These vice presidents must be staff or members from member organizations of CARA. And there shall be 2 vice presidents from the individual members elected by a plurality of votes cast by the delegates at convention. CARA board may approve appointing the president emeritus to serve as an additional member of the board. Sustaining organizations have the right to appoint a member to the board of directors if they so choose. So a lot of this it's not gonna really come up in an everyday conversation with your cats, right? Or even with other organizations. But this is good information for y'all to have because we want participation in our board. We want people running for these offices. And so if you or people within your cats, when convention time's, coming up, this is good info to have. So that way you can inform them. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. So this is a cool little graphic I made. I'm very proud of. This is how CARA brings in its funding. So of course we have affiliate dues, right? Our affiliates pay varying percentages based on several factors, including the membership size and what they honestly want to do. We have, unions that give us as little as $50 and as much as $75,000 per year. So again, it varies by organization to organization. And that's also counting community groups, not just unions. Foundational grants actually make up the bulk of CARA's income. These are grants that we apply for, and it's usually either a one-time thing or it's a recurring year after year thing. Some of them have pause periods where we need to reapply again. It's a very, very time-consuming process, but very necessary process because without these foundational grants, CARA would cease to exist. Individual donations do bring in some revenue for CARA. This is around, the bulk of these come in around our Day of Giving campaign, when Jody used to put out a video and now I put out videos asking for donations. Also, the nifty little QR code you see in the corner here probably accounts for a couple bucks here and there, hopefully. We also, in our CARA alerts, ask for donations. So we're always asking for money because, quite honestly, we cannot get enough of the stuff. We, operate on a very tight budget. Our staff does an incredible amount of work, and it's very tight. But we are working on several projects to try and bring in more money and make it sustainable. Our board contributes. We always ask our board members to, once a year to contribute, and many of them are on recurring, donations of varying amounts. Excuse me. Our convention brings in a lot of money. These are sponsorships from other organizations, usually our affiliates. It's also ads that we sell in our convention brochure, which is a digital one now. Our senior vote program is a moneymaker. And now this year, we are going to be engaging in the largest and most comprehensive senior vote program that CARA has ever engaged in. So I estimate we're going to be bringing in more money this year than we have in the past. And then there's partner grants. An example I can give you is, you know, UDW, they don't have to, but they give us $75,000, or at least they have over the last couple of years. They do this one because they're some of our closest partners. The issues that they care about are issues that we care about on pretty much a one-to-one basis. And so we work very closely with them and their membership, and they appreciate the work that we do with them. And so they give us more than, is, really than they have to. And we were very appreciative of that. Sorry, UDW is the United Domestic Workers. They are a labor union that represents long-term special service or IHSS, in-home special services workers. They're like, caregivers. Next slide, please. All right, talking relationships. So, what is our relationship to the Alliance for Retired Americans and the AFL-CIO, which is the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations? You'll never hear it called that, but that's what the acronym stands for. So, the ARA is the official retiree wing of the AFL-CIO. ARA and CARA were built on relationships with labor, creating space for retired union members to continue their involvement in the labor movement. Some of the key differences being that CARA historically has remained nonpartisan, while the ARA endorses candidates. Candidate endorsements cannot conflict with the AFL-CIO endorsements. And this is actually going to be CARA's first year where we join the other ARA affiliates in endorsing candidates. Next slide, please. All right. And what is our involvement in CLCs or Central Labor Councils? And before I go into that, a Central Labor Council is the regional representative of the AFL-CIO. Regions usually being determined by one or more counties. I used to be president of the Kern, Inyo, and Mono County Central Labor Council, but there's a little bit over 20 councils across the state, CARA being involved in the vast majority of them. Now, this is where you as leaders, it's very important that we ensure that we have every CAT has a delegate to the labor council in that region. Now, there may be some instances where there's multiple CATs that would share a labor council, at which point, we would have to cross that bridge when we got there as to, who's going to be which CAT will represent. But our members are also delegates to their home unions too. And that's something that we want. We want our more CARA members involved in CLCs, whether it be representing us or their home unions. The more CARA voices we have at these labor councils, the more influence we have. And the more influence we have, the more support we can get on our campaigns. So we pay dues to all the CLCs that we're involved in. And, in turn, they pay, us as affiliates. Labor council relations and rules are not all the same. There are some that we are really, really close with. There are some that we're still trying to get in the front door, and it may be for various reasons. But the expectation is that our CLC delegates create a two-way conversation with these labor councils. We want them to be reporting out what CARA is working on because we want them to be involved. We want the affiliate unions of that CLC to participate in our campaigns and our program. We also want the other side of that conversation is our delegates bring back to our CATs what is the labor council working on, because it can't be a one-sided relationship, right? When in organizing, you always want to scratch the back of those that scratch our back. So we want to be involved in their campaigns that the CLCs are working on that are within CARA's wheelhouse. So if a union, for example, is working on, I'm just making stuff up, a campaign to expand Social Security, we most certainly want to know about that so we can be involved in it. So again, our delegates need to be active in reporting to the CLCs, but also reporting back to us. We also want to prepare our delegates for going to these councils and asking them and their affiliates for contributions, right? There's going to be an infinite number of reasons we would ask for funding. It could be transportation for an event, it could be convention sponsorships, right? It could be a lot of different things. Uh, as some of you may know, the business of organizing, a good portion of it is asking for money. One of my least favorite things to do, and I know probably not everybody's, but it's important, right? We just talked about funding. Um, let's see. We want to, be active and visible too, right? So we want, when we go to these meetings, if we're in person, we want to wear our CARA t-shirts and hats and whatever other swag we have. If we're on Zoom, we want to have our CARA background, right? So when people are looking around, who's here? Oh, CARA's here. We want them to know we're present, because even though we're retired, as we've shown many times in the past, we can punch well above our weight limit, and we want to continue doing so with the labor councils. Next slide, please. Do I do the org chart? Could someone remind me? Or do I stop here? Yeah, I stop at Q&A. So let's just keep rolling on. This is our organizational chart. So again, the board is basically what leads CARA. Staff works for CARA. So in essence, we work for the board. CARA is made up of our members and our partners. Now, something in our bylaws states that any affiliate of ours, their members automatically become CARA members. So you may see us, saying, hey, we represent almost 1 million seniors in California. It's technically true, per, how it's written in our bylaws, but the vast majority of those people don't know their members. This is another reason that we as CAT leaders need to encourage our CAT members to be very visible in their other organizations that they're involved in, especially if they're affiliates, because we want those people who are our members to participate in CARA, whether it be our CAP meetings, in our Friday forums, or any of our other campaigns and actions. Our partners, again, are made up of affiliates and then folks that we work with in coalitions. We have a whole slide dedicated to coalitions later in this. We'll go a little more in depth in that. Again, we're also involved with the ARA and the Central Labor Councils. Now, on the membership side, we've got committees. Committees are made up of leaders and members, and we'll also go over committees today. You're free to join any committee and highly, highly encouraged to join at least one of these committees. We can never get enough help on these committees, and fresh voices and fresh blood and ideas are always welcome. And then you got our cats, of course. You all should be familiar with that. Our committees break down into our convention committee, our legislative committee, training and education, membership, and oh my God, what's SV? I'm drawing a blank here. Line.
Senior vote.
Senior vote. Oh my goodness, my favorite one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Thank you for the aid, Daisy. I will now pause for any questions that have gone unanswered. While we're waiting, let's see. Art just posted, is there a plan to broaden the understanding of union members who are affiliated with CARA to realize they are automatically CARA members? Yes, this is something that we actively encourage our members who participate with their retiree chapters to engage with, just as we went over the two-way communication that happens with labor councils. If you are involved with your retiree chapter, we absolutely encourage you to engage in that two-way communication with them. If you are part of an organization that doesn't have an active retiree chapter, CARA can support you in developing and creating that. That's actually one of our functions. Same thing goes for any of your CAT members. If they can join, or if they can, be more engaging with their union and or their union retirees, definitely a great way to quickly increase our participation and build our cats. Julie, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm wondering why we're limited to retirees and not all members of unions, for instance.
Oh no, we certainly are open. It's just that retirees tend to be the ones more focused on the issues that we work on, with the exception of active union members that benefit from some of our campaigns. For example, I used the example of United Domestic Workers earlier. They're very invested because there's a lot of legislation that CARA works on that benefits their members, their active membership. So a union like that would be more apt to have their active membership participating with us. Whereas I'll just throw something out there. Well, the electrical workers, let's say, you know, um, they're folks, we don't really work on electricity issues, right? Not necessarily directly affecting their active workers. But they're retirees, right? They care about the things that we work on regularly, like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Great question. We absolutely want everybody, not just retirees, to come in, but it's kind of depending, on the audience that we're going to be talking to. Let's see. I saw how does senior vote generate donations? That's a good question, Noel. There are other entities and organizations that have a vested interest in winning elections, and so what we want to do is advertise CARA's, success in the past, and go to these organizations and say, "Here's our plan for this year. Here's the work that we want to engage in around elections. Here's the numbers that we want to hit." And we think that this can have a positive effect on these elections by X, Y, and Z. These organizations, and I'll give you a real world example here. In 2025, CARA engaged in a heavy and rapid campaign to pass Proposition 50, as you all probably know. We were granted by Healthy California Now $20,000 because they had a vested interest in Prop 50 passing. And so the senior vote committee was able to, execute, and the rest is history. We made almost like a twelfth of the calls that were generated in the state for that thing to pass. So that's an example of other organizations wanting to see a specific outcome and saying, here, we want to fund you, CARA. Because those types of operations are expensive. It's about 4 cents per dial when you're using one of these predictive dialers to make phone calls during phone banking. And if you take the total number of calls CARA made, which was over 426,000, it would have cost us between 17 and 18,000 dollars just to make the dials, because not all those people picked up, right? But those calls were made. So the organization that we partnered with to make those calls, essentially in-kinded us, almost $18,000 by giving us free use of their dialer. So those are some examples of how it generates income.
That would be me. Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia Lopez. I am the administrative coordinator for CARA, and I'm also the staff person assigned for the membership and labor committee. Rob actually did a fantastic job of going over what our committee does earlier in his presentation, which is we collect the dues from our affiliates. And well, that, as Rob mentioned, helps us fund CARA. And so we get other fundings, but a good majority of our budget comes from dues, affiliation dues that come in this way. Okay. And so currently we have 3 tiers of membership. We have our sustainers, which are the community groups or affiliates, or union groups that give 5,000 and above. As listed there in the benefits, they have access to all our activities, our trainings, our leadership academy, and all of their locals also are our members as well. The key distinction here is that they get a seat at our board. So if a group is a sustainer, they will take part of our board, and as such, like Rob mentioned, the board are the ones that are guiding us, that are helping CARA direct the staff and the activities that are taking place. After that, we have our contributors. Those are affiliate or community groups that give from 1,000 to 4,999 in their dues. And typically you're looking at like the bigger organizations. Right there, we see 800 and above. Lastly, but not least, we this is our biggest group, which is our affiliates. These are groups that give generally from 50 to 999, and we're looking at some organizations that are very tiny, from 15 and all the way up to 800. And so all of each categories are instrumental, are crucial, to keep CARA moving and helping us get those funds that we need in order to organize and work on the important issues at hand. Can we go to the next slide? Perfect. And every year we carry out membership renewals. Actually, can we go to the following? I should have switched these. We have a calendar. So the membership committee meets and takes care of all the membership renewal process. We actually start um, our cycle. We believe we like it to start in November, December. We get together, we write up the letters that are going to accompany the forms. We try to get the most up-to-date information from our affiliates, our groups, so we could direct the invoices to the correct personnel. And that is done in November and December. And that's also the time where we ideally want to send these out via mail and online through our QuickBooks software. Um, and with the hopes that when January, February comes along and everybody's back in the office, that whoever's taking care of renewing or sending out the checks has those invoices and are able to process it in a timely manner, which most groups and unions tend to do. We start seeing all the renewals come in these months. And so the membership committee is actually looking at getting reports on a monthly basis, going over what affiliation dues have come in, which ones are still outstanding, and then we actually work on starting to assign each organization that's still outstanding. First, we'll contact the sustainers and contributors during the months of January and February, and as we progress into the year, more in March. April, May, we will get to the other affiliates. And U.S. cat leaders and chairs are super instrumental in this portion because at this time, I believe the organizers are sharing with you the organizations that are still outstanding in your area. And since a lot of you are active in these organizations, we ask that you help us by making contact and double checking that the information did get to them. A lot of times it's somewhere the letter didn't get sorted correctly, it didn't reach the office, or the person that it was sent to has left and we need to get new information. So you are all crucial in this process. After that, in an ideal world, we collect everything and then we move our focus to look for new affiliates. Our goal is always to bring more organizations, more unions, more friends to join CARA. And so our focus moves into in partnership with the Federation, the Labor Federation, and the workers. We try to work with them, send a letter out asking for the support for our unions that still have not affiliated with CARA. And so that actually takes quite a bit of time. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, a lot of meetings to make that happen. So that becomes our focus during that time. And and so by July, August, we do have the cutoff date for affiliates to be mentioned in our program book as in good standing. And we also we list them in our website as well. But we do send out a final notice before that, letting them know that we will be closing off our for the 2026 membership drive, and so we would need to get confirmation that they still want to be affiliated with CARA. That's pretty much the timeline for the membership drive. If we can go back to the previous slide. Thank you. This is the preferred method for organizations to join our organization and individuals as well. It's on our website. It just makes it so much easier to collect data from these places. So if you go to our landing page and you see where it says join now, you click on that. And it's going to take you to this page that you see right here, the screen grab. And it says membership. And right below it, you could see how it says, are you affiliating this year as an individual or organization? The organizations would select organization and then ask information for us to record. And then they could also pay online as well. Same thing for individuals. If you click the individuals, it'll tell you the different types of donations you can do. It collects your information. However, we are aware that some organizations do need a paper form. And so if you look on our website, you could also download the paper form and submit it to organizations. And then the check could be mailed to our mailing address. That is actually still, many of our organizations still use that method. So that's completely acceptable as well. I do see some hands raised, but I just have one more slide and then I'll take your questions. And lastly, Rob actually already mentioned this. Part of our membership committee also focuses on meeting with CARA members that are present in the CLC meetings. And we try to meet at least 3 times a year, sometimes even more, depending on what the membership decides. Like if there's something very important that we want to get out to our CLC, we will call the members that we know are active within their CLCs. And like Rob mentioned, we want to partner with our CLCs for them to know what CARA's doing, what we're working on, and as well for us to know what they're working on and how CARA could help and support our CLCs. Lastly, our CARA membership chairs, we have 3. It's Tom Rankin, Dan Prince, and Chris Organ, and they are more than willing to reach out if you need any help or assistance. If you ever know of a group that is perhaps interested in becoming an affiliate, but would like a presentation from one of our chairs, they are completely open to attending. You could contact me. I'll drop my information on the chat, but it's also there. We also have a dedicated inbox, which is membership@californiaalliance.org, where we try to keep all communication there so we could be more effective and faster at answering any questions in regards to membership. And yes, if you want to join our committee, we meet on the first Monday of the month at 10 a.m. We did get cleared to be able to give access to where you can view the list. Some most like our smaller unions and our smaller groups that are 800 and less, and then in their membership, we have this fields that we suggest to be used as donations for our dues. But if the organization is 800 and bigger, then we would ask for them to become contributors instead of just affiliates. Yeah, if there is no other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the membership presentation. Thank you all. Go ahead, Daisy.
Thank you, Cynthia. So we have a few more slides that we're going to present on the committees and coalitions, then we'll take some more questions, and then we'll conclude with our last section. So if folks can either put their questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have questions, and then once we get to that question section, we will be sure to address everyone's questions. So just hold on to them and we'll get to them. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the legislative committee. I staff the legislative committee, so of course, I think the legislative committee is somewhere in the heart of our organization. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do, the process for how to get things through the legislative committee, and then a little bit about how to get involved. So, what does the legislative committee do? Well, our primary function is to take positions on legislation specifically. And the positions we can take are either sponsoring a bill. That means, we are the main drivers of the bill. We can priority support a bill, means this is one of our top priorities and we support it. We can support a bill, we can oppose a bill, and then of course we can, priority oppose a bill. And so those are the main positions we take. The legislative committee also often makes recommendations to the board on positions for ballot measures, for example, and sometimes other issues that are very closely related. So how does this all go down? Well, I am CARA's legislative advocate, so usually folks would reach out to me directly. There are times that folks reach out through our website, and Cynthia fields those for us, and she'll send them to me. And so what I do is I take all of our legislation that you would like considered, and I send it off to our legislative leadership team. So our legislative leadership team, it's basically how it sounds, a team within the legislative committee that really supports me in ensuring that all of our bills that we go through are fully vetted, meaning we really look through them, we make sure that they are appropriate topic-wise, that they don't have any discrepancies, especially with our affiliates, and really make sure that we understand what the legislation is for when we take it to the legislative committee. So I send that legislation off to our legislative leadership team. They evaluate it, we evaluate it together, and we make a decision on how to best move forward with that legislation. We then take it to the full legislative committee, and this is where almost every single bill that is sent to us gets to. And so our legislative committee is presented with the facts of the bill. What is the bill going to do? Who are the supporters? Who's in opposition? What, if any, of our affiliates are on either side of that aisle? We have a discussion on the bill, and oftentimes, like I mentioned, we decide to take some level of position on the bill. And so folks can bring to us both active legislation and legislative ideas. Usually when folks bring us legislative ideas, this might be something that we end up sponsoring. Because we are a small organization, we only sponsor or prioritize a limited number of bills, but bringing those to us is really the first step in figuring out where are we going to stand on that legislation. From there, depending on our stance on the legislation, we usually will write a letter that is submitted to the legislature of our position on the bill. If it's a bill we're sponsoring, we're often working very, very closely with the author's office and making sure that the bill gets through each committee onto the floor and gets each vote that it needs. If it's a bill we're prioritizing, we often will ask our members like you and other leaders to head to the Capitol or make phone calls on behalf of the legislation. And then if it's something we're either just supporting or opposing, we'll usually just send in a letter to record our position. And oftentimes it is on our website as well. Then last, anything that we're prioritizing or sponsoring will make it into our lobby day, and you'll hear a lot from us about this legislation. We very closely track it, and we always ask our members to turn out for those bills. And so that is what the legislative committee does. I will say, like all of our committees, this is an open committee, meaning that it is open to all of our members, all of our affiliates. So if you are a member of one of our affiliates or you're an individual member, you are more than welcome. And we encourage you to come sit on the legislative committee. You will have the right to vote on all the motions, to make motions, etc. And you also have the ability to send me or the legislative committee bills or legislation to consider. So if you don't have my email, I can go ahead and put it in the chat, or you probably already have it. You can give me a call. My email is doram, DORAM, at californiaalliance.org. So that is how we get the bills into the process. And we encourage all of our members to go ahead and join the committee, if you'd so choose.
Thanks, Daisy. Hello, everybody. I am Yesenia Cuevas, and I am the Central Valley organizer, and I also staff the Training and Education Committee. This committee is composed of 14 members from across the state, from Southern California all the way up to Northern California. We have 2 chairs. One of them is here with us, Chris Otero. She is one of the chairs of this committee. And the other one is Janie Whiteford. And this committee works very hard to bring to you those fabulous Friday forums that you see once a month. We meet the first Thursday of each month. And saying that, we meet at 10 o'clock. But I will start, let me back off and I'll start with what the Empowered Elders Workshop is. So as you can see, the letters are kind of tiny. We will work on making this a little more readable for you, but I'll just take little chunks of it. So what the Empowered Elders are, this is an excellent way to bring valuable resources, trainings, educations, not just to your family or your friends, but also your organizations, your committee, anybody in your community. And some of the workshops that we are popular workshops, and some of you have already presented these. Some of you are trained to train others on these very important topics. One of them is being the life-saving vial of life. Now, the vial of life, as many of you know, is a way that, it helps the first responders notifies them as to what your medications are, as to what is the urgency in case you can't speak for yourself, or you're not able to do, or to even understand what they're asking you. So the Vial of Life is a very crucial training that we offer. We provide all of the materials, but I also want to emphasize that all of these materials are on our website. We will put the website on our chat. If you ever want to look at it, just go under Empowered Elders Workshop. You're able to look at it and download any of the information that I'm speaking about. So one of them is being the Vial of Life. The other one is protecting your rights during a hospital stay. And the third one is strategies to finishing your advance directive. Those are some of the trainings that are currently on our website, and that we started the year, and a lot of the CATs have already kicked off the year providing these trainings. I know that Ruth, she's here with us, and she's had a couple of trainings in the North State. So you're welcome to look at it and take advantage of that. And as I mentioned, the Fabulous Friday Forum. So that is, we have one forum a month. And as you know, many of you have attended. They're very fun, they're educational, they're fabulous trainings that we offer. And as you can see, and we will put the flyer that has the links also. If you are not registered to any of these forums, please do so and share it with your family, friends, and organizations. So in January, we started with How Wise is Wiser. And as you can see, we also are not, it didn't stop there. The legislative committee has given us a plan of action to continue working on this. So this is something that CARA is working and taking to heart. If you need more information, reach out to your organizations, and we will be to your organizer, and we will provide you with that information. Once again, all of our Friday forums are recorded, and any and all material that is shared, PowerPoint presentations, call to actions are always available to you and at any time. So all you have to do is register for the forum. If you're not able to attend for whatever reason, you will still get the recording because you've registered. The next forum that we're having on February the 27th is Dangers to Social Security. We have wonderful speakers, one of them being Nancy Altman and John Bauman will also be speaking on this. He is the president of Social Security Works. Nancy Altman has over 50 years of experience working with Social Security issues. On March 27th, we will have the rural healthcare for seniors and hospital closings. As many of you know, there's been hospitals closing due to lack of funding across the state. And this is a topic that really hits home to a lot of our members. So we will be talking about that. In April the 10th, we will start our lobby day prep training. And that is going to be hosted by not just our very own Rob England, but also Mark, who assisted us in, Mark Victoria, who assisted us in lobby day preparations, as well as our lobby day. Our lobby day will be put in the chat, and I want to say it's April the 29th, if I'm not mistaken. So please put that on your calendar. That is our statewide lobby day. But the lobby day training will be on April 10th. And then in May, we will be having a forum on senior vote. So stay tuned for that. You will see the flyer attached in the chat for any of those with the link also. Now, part of the Training and Education Committee, we also have the Leadership Academy. This year, as you all know, everything we are doing, it has been virtually. We do have some hybrid meetings where our cats meet, but it's mainly our main focus is to continue doing them virtually. So this year, the Leadership Academy will be structured a little different, and that more information to come on that. But CARA's Leadership Academy is CARA's premier training program, and we focus on bringing how our members can be empowered. And we provide all the tools, the training, the material that will give you the skills to not just meet with your legislator, but also give a CARA presentation or meet with your community and grow your cats. So this training, if you have never attended, I do encourage all of you to sign up this year. The date will be coming at a later time, as well as are we meeting hybrid or is it going to be just on Zoom? It seems like it might be on Zoom, so we can reach out to many of you across the state at the same time. So if for any reason, you're interested in it, please let your organizer know that you're interested, and we will be providing more information on that. So next slide. That will be Rob speaking on senior vote.
Thank you, Yesenia. So I'm going to go ahead and read off this. So since 2010, Senior Vote Program has worked to educate California seniors on the issues that directly affect them. This year, CARA's Senior Vote Program is focusing on key congressional district races to elect candidates committed to protecting the interests of seniors and people with disabilities. With 70% of voters over age 65 participating in previous elections, our peer-to-peer education process is vital. We connect active CARA members with undecided voters to discuss how their vote impacts essential programs and benefits. That's the traditional method that we used to engage in. It was nonpartisan, and it aims to reach all seniors through methods such as phone banking, postcarding, candidate scorecards, and town halls. We invite you all to make a difference by joining the Senior Vote Committee and also becoming a senior ambassador today. Again, as I mentioned, this is the traditional way that CARA has engaged in elections previously through nonpartisan means. We will be, for the first time, again, focusing on some key congressional districts because taking back the House is key to reversing the cuts to the safety net programs that many of us rely on and reversing them if possible. It's really the first step in taking back our country and taking back our democracy. So I invite y'all to either participate in the planning phase of this, which is the senior vote committee, or you can join as a senior ambassador. And I'll post a link in the chat to become an ambassador. Next slide, please. Convention. So CARA's founding convention was a 2-day event held at the Farama Hotel in LA in November of 2003. During the convention, members elected the first board of directors, hired Executive Director Emerita Jody Reed, and adopted new constitution and bylaws established the goals for the organization. CARA has continued the tradition of holding annual conventions where we host candidate forums, speaker panels, and workshops. And the convention continues to be the place where members vote on the organization's yearly priorities, as we went over earlier, and come together to lean into shared values. CARA's odd year conventions are statewide, like we did last year, and even year conventions are regional, and that's what we're doing this year. The 2025 convention, which was awesome, featured guest speakers such as California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, and President of the California Federation of Labor Unions, Lorena Gonzalez. California Gubernatorial Candidate Forum was held, and we had some really good candidates and got some really good insight into their campaigns. We also held CARA officer elections to appoint new members to the board. And the 2026 regional conventions will host keynote speakers, candidate forums highlighting state and U.S. congressional candidates. In some cases, there might be some local speakers. But remember, CARA's true power is being able to influence both the House of Representatives and the California state legislature. Those are the two places that we work most on our legislative efforts. So as I mentioned, this year it will be a regional convention. And if you happen to be a CAT that falls within one of the key congressional districts, then you'll be having endorsements interviews for that congressional seat. There's some rules and guidelines that are laid out in the ARA bylaws that dictate what we can and can't do. One of those things is we cannot endorse contrary to the AFL-CIO. Because of this, CARA chose to stay out of the primaries to let nature take its course because, we can only go with whoever the labor councils end up endorsing. So we won't be able to endorse this person's opponent, for example. That's a big no-no. There are other, quirks and things that we need to abide by, but we'll, fill you in with more detail. We're working on a lot of this still with our, ARA and with the, California Federation of Labor Unions. But we're going to get more details about conventions out to you as they develop. We're looking to do these in August, and that's so that way we can get our endorsements done prior to the start of our electoral campaign work, which is going to start in September. Next slide, please. Now, coalitions. Coalition work is so important in the organizing space because it's able to consolidate the power of many individuals or organizations and hone that power and focus it on, usually it's either an issue that drives a coalition or a set of issues. Now, we participate in both types of coalitions. There are open and closed coalitions. Some of the open coalitions that we participate in, and let me actually just back up there. An open coalition is, hey, can I join your coalition? Yeah, here's the link, right? Hop on Zoom with us. The more the merrier. Closed coalitions are usually specific and invite only. So it's not something that are open to all members. Usually it's a group that, has one representative per organization, for example. Some of the open coalitions that we actually invite all of you to participate in if you're interested is like the long-term special services for all LTSS, for all grassroots coalition. We already have several members that participate in this, and some of you guys are here right now. But this is a great group to be part of, a lot of really awesome partners. And this focuses on long-term special services. This is like, your IHSS in-home care people and caretakers, people like that, caregivers. Caring across generations, who's actually, one of the active folks in LTSS for All, which works on aging and age-related issues. California Work and Family Coalition, Housing Now, which is, housing, IHSS Coalition, Fight for Our Health, and Golden State Mobile Home Owners League. These are all really great coalitions that CARA actively participates in, and we invite you to, if you're interested, talk to your organizer, and we can get you set up with a link to join and when the schedule is and all that. Other than that, we participate in, many coalitions relating to healthcare, aging, and disability issues, housing, climate. These are all top issues, as we went over at the top of this meeting, that members voted on as their top priorities. So please join a coalition if you can. We'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker.
Hi, that's me. I'm Biddy. I'm the Southern California organizer for CARA. And we went over a lot of the rest of the organizational structure of CARA. We talked about the different committees, how we collaborate outside of CARA with other coalitions and bring their issues in and our issues forward. We talked about the CLCs and how they're a foundation of our organization. So where does the CAT fit in? Where do you guys fit in this massive organizational structure? So the CAT is really a local effort. So it helps grow the influence and the reputation of the CARA itself within the region, which is why we have our CAT members going to CLCs. We have you guys going to talk to your representatives in district. It really helps show that there is a presence in CARA across the state, like we say there is. It also helps us develop leadership. And that way that our leaders can be developing new leaders in the area through our CAT meetings by bringing other local leaders from different efforts, different coalition efforts, different issue-based efforts into our CAT, into CARA. It also serves as a space for us as staff to give you guys insight on what our statewide actions are, our events are, the latest updates, news that CARA is involved with. So things like Lobby Day, things like our forums. The CAT meeting serves as a space so that we can fill you guys in on what's happening, what our expectations of you guys are, and how that plays a role in our larger efforts for the year. It's also to build community. One of the things we always talk about when, at least when I do outreach to talk about what's so great about CARA is in 2020 when COVID hit, there was a lot of isolation that happened, but CARA was a space where folks could come and participate on our forums and things like that that came out of COVID that created, third spaces for seniors and people with disabilities to still have connection. So it's always been a way for people to build community, make friendships, make strong working relationships, to build and strengthen our connections with the local labor councils. So Rob talked about how there were 20 labor councils in California. Us as CARA staff cannot possibly be in contact with every single labor council, nor is it effective for us as much as it would be effective as you guys, as people who were in those unions, who are a part of that community and can get involved in the CLC's activities. So it's great for us to have a space where you guys are able to take that information we bring to you to the CLCs. We can figure out what's happening in the CLCs as well from you. It's also to engage new and existing local affiliates. This is kind of one of the origins of the CAT. A lot of times we can't learn about new affiliates in the area. You guys learn about that through the CLCs. You're in the community. You may meet somebody who you're like, this is a great person that should be affiliated with CARA. Um, there might be local senior centers. You might meet folks out. So this is a great way for us to meet new local affiliates and also engage with the ones that are local there. If you guys have ever done outreach efforts, this is a part of that where you go, in the beginning of the year when people reaffiliate, you can go to the affiliate next meeting and be like, hey, we're CARA, you guys are members of CARA. That type of work is taken on by CATs and their CAT leaders. Um, Mobilizing for local and virtual events. We do a lot of this in district. Lobbying is one of the things coming up. I know in your CAT meetings lately, we've been coming together to figure out how we can lobby for the Smarter Care Act with your representatives. So that's an example of mobilizations that we do. We've also mobilized rallies. Typically, we do one every year for Social Security's birthday in collaboration with AFG. So really different ways for us to just be visible and be connected with all of these different pieces to keep every single affiliate, our members, and the larger local communities aware of CARA's issues and efforts. Um, but yeah, that's I think those are the top things. Build and maintain relationships with local elected officials, build support for CARA's priorities. So yeah, I think we covered most of that. Next slide. So where do we have cats and who are the cat chairs? You guys are the cat chairs. Most of you guys and other folks who are here as representatives, where they're not chairs, appreciate you guys being here as well. So we are split into three regions: Northern California, Central Valley, and Southern California. So we have three organizers: Daisy for Northern California, Yesenia for Central Valley, and then me for Southern California. So Northern California, we have six cats. Sonoma, the chair is Bonnie Petty, Marin, Maureen McCannis, and Patty Garcia. Uh, Contra Costa, Solano, Nadine. Um, for Alameda is Dee Rosario and Bill Klein. Five, San Francisco's Art Persico and David Harlan. Six, Santa Clara is Greg Miller, Carol Garvey, and Kathy um, Soretsky. Central Valley. I'm just gonna read the names and then so you guys, but you guys can see who's the chair next to it. So North State, Placer County, Sacramento, Yolo, Central Valley, Fresno area, Kern, and SoCal is Inland Empire, Long Beach, South Bay, San Diego County, LA, Orange County, San Gabriel Valley. So yeah, you guys can take note of who this is when you guys get the slide yourself. Just keep track of it because if you ever need something from someone in a different area, you can reach out to these cat chairs to get more information from them, or share information about something that's happening locally that you think that CARA should be involved in. Um, yeah, next slide. And I think that's you, Yesenia.
Yeah, thanks, Vidi. So my section is how were CARA action teams formed? So before CAT staff and board members would travel to individual affiliate meetings and host town halls in specific regions, um, engage members who were interacted in our work with our senior ambassadors program. So as Rob mentioned, the senior ambassador program is generally one per state assembly person communicates with legislators on our issues connected our work with their local areas. It was clear that we had more members to engage than we could have senior ambassadors. So that's when the CARA action teams were created and formed. Some of you have been here since that time when Jody, Nan, and a lot of our other members began these teams. So they began in areas where we had a high density of affiliates, board members, senior ambassadors, and staff capacity. Hosted a forum in the areas. What they did, they scouted the area. They hosted They hosted a place, and then they talked on issues that pertain to seniors and people with disabilities. They presented ways to take actions and presented the idea of forming a chapter, a CAT. And that's really how it all began. They were going section to section. They started in the Bay Area. Then they just could continue to grow. There was a lot of interest because the word got around that, you know, California was going to be part of the ARA. Jody would travel with a lot of our members, and a lot of our members that are not here with us any longer, but they would travel from the North State all the way down to Southern California, just making these general talks, kind of like what we're doing today, just presenting what CARA is all about. Sometimes they would have 50 people, other times they had 100 people. So it just kind of grew in numbers, and that's how CARA came about. It was basically calling organizations, community, senior centers, you name it, anything you can think of. They started making these calls, and we're scheduling these meetings across the state. So that's how CARA came about. Next slide. What is needed to build the CAT? And some of you, and I'm going to be very transparent. Some of our CATs have been struggling. Some of our CATs, when COVID hit, things kind of shifted. A lot of us, and some of our CATs are struggling. Some of our CATs are flourishing, and some of our CATs need a lot of support. And I think that this is the place to kind of just come out and bring your expertise and say, hey, this is what's working in my area. It might work in your area. A lot of you have a lot of experience in organizing and creating these CATs, because these CATs were formed by you, really. And you know, Jody was a big component of creating all these CATs, but now after COVID, we were left with meeting via Zoom. Like one of my coworkers mentioned, you know, it was a safe place for all of us not to stay isolated. Well, it still is. I think that our CATs bring so much, not just to ourselves, but to our communities. And there is so many people that would really benefit, and organizations that would be benefiting from our CATs. So one of the things, if you feel that your CAT needs to be supported in many ways, this is why we're bringing these trainings, because we understand as a staff, we know the area, we know that some CATs are struggling, some CATs need more attention. And every time that we meet in our staff meeting, I just want all of you to know, we're brainstorming, we're thinking of ways to continue building on those CATs and bringing valuable trainings and educational forums to across the state. So how do we do it? So it starts with you as our leaders. Our leaders, you guys are our co-chairs, our members. You may not be feeling that you can lead a CAT, but you can definitely assist a CAT, you know, like what most of you do already. So we have our chairs, our co-chairs. Our design is to eventually continue having our note taker, our phone callers, maybe 1, 2, or 3 people or more that can take part of that list and either make those calls, reminder calls, send out emails, send out a text, and just inform our members. You know, our members are very busy with doctor's appointments, other appointments, visiting family. And I like to always get a reminder call, you know, hey, you know, you're saying you have this meeting coming up. I like that. So I think it's a good way not only to check on ourselves and see how we're doing. I'll be honest with you. In the Central Valley, and we have Joe, which is Joe Carson. She is our CAT chair. This CAT has really suffered quite a bit because we lost a lot of our members, a lot of our key members that not only formed that CAT, but were very involved in the community. Many of you know Nan is still here. Nan is with us, but Addie Brinkley, many of you got to meet her. And then, of course, Chuck Walker also passed away. So we lost a lot of our members. And, you know, Joe is still here with us, and she's our cat chair, and she's involved. But some of them also had some health issues. So it's always good to have our members just kind of step up and say, hey, you know what? I can help out, or I can start making these phone calls, or I'll make sure to send out an email or a text. It is always helpful. It helps our chairs, it helps our cat. And I think it also helps our members just to remind them that, hey, we care, we are here for you, and CARA is part of all of us. So that is one way. And of course, our staff capacity. As all of you know, we are a small staff, a staff of 6. We meet once a week, but we also support all of you. We want to find ways that, we are stretching ourselves. There's so many things going on with this election year, but I want to guarantee you that we have a fabulous staff. We have a wonderful staff. We get along really well. We work well together. So feel free and reach out to any of us and say, hey, I have this idea that might help grow my cat, or I need this support. Some of you, as you know, Cynthia is the one that sends out all of the materials that you may need if you want to have an empowered elders training. Cynthia will mail it to you. If we just give us enough time to gather all of the information and mail it out. So we're a staff of 6, but we do quite a bit. And I just want to say we are here for you, and we want to support you. We want to hear from you, and we want to know your ideas. How can we better grow our cats? Because better than, I think you guys, for example, if I live in the Central Valley, but I staff the North State, which is up in Redding and Shasta area, but I'm not familiar with the area, but Ruth is, and Ruth and Ron, they're the cat chairs, and all the other members are able to schedule these meetings and introduce CARA. And I am your support. I am here to support that cat, just like my other co-workers are. So that is what we are on building a cat. So next slide. And I think that's you, Biddy, or Daisy.
That's me. Thanks so much, Yesenia. What a great introduction to, what is needed to build our cat. And I'll be sharing with you all this, non-extensive necessarily list of, model CARA leader qualities that the staff have put together, and it's something that we see in all of you, and something we, hope all of our CARA members can strive towards. The first is representing CARA always in a professional manner, of course, with kindness and respectful language, etc. And when you're representing CARA, make sure you're representing CARA in your role as a representative of CARA, not necessarily as an individual. We ask that you spread the word about CARA activities and being communicative with folks in your area. This could mean sending text blasts, calling through your list, or sending emails out about all of our activities, Friday forums, cat meetings, our senior vote program, etc. The fourth, I know you all do, is engaging with your cat. Of course, this is part of the heart of your work, making sure that you're engaging with each of the members, engaging with the cat as a whole. 5 is being ready for action. Part of our organization is always taking action. So working with your organizer to plan an event, working with your cats to plan an event, and similarly, getting ready to plan. Actions don't just fall together in 1 second. You have to take, weeks or days or months to plan events to make them very successful. 7 is continuing to build connections with your community. As Yesenia was mentioning, this is a key part of building up the cat and bringing in new members to CARA, is making sure you're building those connections, whether it's with senior centers, local unions, your CLCs, etc. There's a lot of places that you can connect with your community. 8 is to only volunteer within your capacity. We don't want anyone to experience burnout here, and I know many of you take on a lot of roles within your cat. So we ask, look at your capacity and volunteer within that, and then delegate roles to your fellow members. Each of you have a capacity, but each of you have fellow members to work with. So continue to delegate, ask folks in your cat to step up and support you where you need it most, and make sure to just continue to delegate. It also just helps keep that engagement in the cat. And the next is just to get to know your fellow members. The more you know them, you're going to know what they're good at, and you're going to know what you can ask them to do and what you might not ask them to do. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have a CARA Leadership Academy. It's something that our Training and Ed Committee puts together, and we suggest that each of you attend this Leadership Academy. I know many of you have attended before. Many of you probably have never attended, but it's going to be virtual this year, so each of you will have the chance to join it. And it's a really good place to learn many of these skills, or just rebuild some of the skills, or remind yourself of some of the skills that are great leader qualities. And last, this is our very last slide before we take any questions. It's how to get involved. And this is really just almost everything we've presented today about ways to get involved with CARA. And so this is kind of a comprehensive list that when you're talking to folks out in your community, you can tell them, hey, there's so many ways to get involved with CARA. One, the most natural way is getting involved in a CARA Action Team, a CAT in your region. The next is our committees. We presented on each of them. Of course, if you're elected or appointed, you can join our executive or board committee. We also have standing committees throughout the year. That is our legislative, our membership, and our training and education committee. And then we have our senior vote and convention committees, which are ad hoc, meaning they go into effect when we need them. There's always affiliation. Folks can become individual members, or you can become an organizational member. When you're an organizational member, as most of you probably know, every one of your members, a part of that organization, will now become members of CARA. If you're an individual member, we now have open board seats for you. We have 2 board seats for our individual members, and you will also be able to get a vote at the convention. And last but not least, I want everyone to be able to sign up for our CARA alerts. No matter the level of involvement you want, having our CARA alerts in your inbox keeps you informed as to what's going on, and so you can get involved at any time.